Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks. In this channel, we're covering communication skills to help you level up your confidence, charisma, and personal brand. Today, we're going to be discussing social media and whether or not you have a social media addiction that requires you to take a detox. If you were to talk about social media detox, I would say 100 years ago, let alone 50 years ago, no one would have a clue that this was a problem. There was no such thing as social media addiction because that right there was not a technology that existed in the past. So that was not a problem that past generations had to deal with. But in today's generation, technology is abundant, especially social media when you think about it. With social media, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. What's some of the good? The good is that nowadays you can use the resources in order to build a business. I personally consider YouTube as social media, but let's say you don't. Let's talk about Twitter then. You can use Twitter, build an audience for completely free of charge. Twitter's not charging you. And you could funnel them into an email list where you start selling your products. So just like that, you started a business with zero cost. So that's one of the good parts. What's one of the bad parts? Well, let's say you're building this Twitter and you're growing rapidly. And as you're growing rapidly, there's other people who don't like it and they start leaving you mean comments. That could be some of the bad parts of Twitter. What about the ugly? Well, the ugly part could be that as your Twitter following is growing, you're constantly just checking your phone, looking for the latest notifications, seeing if your last tweet did well. And whether you're aware of it or not, you're starting to become glued to this application. This right here can get ugly. I started my Twitter June 2018, and thus far since starting it, there's been a lot of big accounts that started along the same side as me. And throughout the journey, it's been 2 years plus at the time of recording this video, there's been so many people that are just like, man, I just need a break. And not only will they disappear for a few weeks, they disappear completely. They delete their Twitter account completely and just disappear. These were people that were struggling and they let it be known. Like behind the scenes, they're just like, yo, Armani, man, it was driving me insane. It was driving me crazy. And I'm thinking, there's so many people that I personally know that had this exact issue. Why? Well, let's go past Twitter for a second. Let's just talk about the general aspect of social media. We as consumers are consuming social media. We're using it, right? But how about we put ourselves in the perspective of the creators of social media? Let's say the person in charge of Twitter, the person in charge of Instagram, the person in charge of TikTok. What do you think their main intention is? You think their main intention is for you to profit off your business, build a good following, and you feeling happy-go-lucky? That's not their intention. If that happens, that's good. But their real intention is to keep you on the platform as long as possible. Because the longer that you stay on the platform, the more traffic that you generate. More eyeballs equal more traffic. And each of these eyeballs, you know what comes along with them? A pair of wallets. And with the wallets, you can use social media for whatever ways. You could click on ads, you can profit the social media companies. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because they are creating these social medias with the sole intention to keep you on the platform for as long as possible. They'll show you what they need to show you. They'll create the algorithm in a personalized way for you. They'll customize the feed for you. Your mental health, that kind of stuff, that is not their priority. Their priority is to keep you on the platform for an extended period of time. And you stay there long enough, what happens is you start to get detached from reality. And as you start getting detached from reality, that's where you start getting aggression, that's where you start getting distraction, that's where you sometimes don't feel good. You just don't feel right. Now, you can't even go back and do some research because this is the first time in human history a problem like this is happening. You can't do research from 100 years ago, 50 years ago. because this problem didn't exist. So what's the strategy? You could be like the other accounts that completely deleted their accounts and dipped, like the people that I started off with. And that's one of the strategies. That is a form of detox. But I don't like that strategy, personally for me, because I don't think social media is the issue. I think how we're using it is the issue. As you're watching this video, a lot of you probably had no clue that these owners of these social media accounts were designing the platforms to just keep you on the platform for a long time. You probably had a clue, but you've never heard it verbalized, or you've never verbalized it yourself. Well, now you know. Now, how does this social media detox work? Everyone is different, but I don't think that you need to just completely cut out social media from your life, because like I said, there's a lot of good parts to it. And when we start to detox it in a way where we quit it cold turkey, I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. And anything that I try to quit cold turkey rarely works. I'll quit for like 2 to 3 months. I feel like I conquered it. And then after the 3 months are up, I'm back to this and I'm back 10 times worse. So quitting anything cold turkey, it can work for some people, especially if the desire is there. But for a lot of people, it just doesn't work. And like I said, I don't think social media is the issue. It's a technology. It's abstract. How we use it, though, can be the issue. So my version of detox is to approach social media with a little bit more intent. There's 2 hats that you can wear. You can wear the hat of the consumer and the hat of the producer. And the majority, by the way, they just use social media to consume, which I'm not bashing at all. And you're a consumer if you predominantly use social media for, talking to your friends from different parts of the world, your family. You look through your news feed, you see cute baby pictures, cute pictures as a whole, you watch videos. You're a consumer. That's one hat that you can wear. The other hat is producer, where you're creating content. You write tweets to build an audience. You make videos, you do something of the sort to create. So you just want to identify, like, what hat am I? Am I mainly a consumer, or am I mainly a producer, or am I just a little bit of both? Because nowadays the generation is evolving towards the prosumer. They're a mix between the producer and the consumer. Just like with YouTube, I make YouTube videos, I produce, and I consume YouTube videos as well. But just by identifying which hat that you are in, it's much easier to now be more strategic. If you are, say, just a consumer, then as you're going to consume, as you're going to scroll through your feed, how about you just give a rough amount of time that you're going to scroll, just so you don't get distracted completely. Because we've had those moments, we're scrolling for a little bit, oh, whoa, I didn't know this person got married to this person. And then you click on the new person's profile. Oh, I didn't know this person knew this person that I knew from high school. Now you click on the other person's profile and you're down this big rabbit hole. You thought you were going to spend 15 minutes just scrolling, and it turns into 4 hours. So if you're predominantly a consumer, how about rather than just cutting off social media completely, you just say rough deadlines for yourself. You don't want to be too strict, by the way. You just say 15 minutes. How about that? Let me just set a timer for 15 minutes, somewhere around that range, 15 to 20 minutes, that I'm just going to scroll. And when you can do that, now your mind just has some guidance. So you're not playing the social media's game, who's trying to keep you on the platform for as long as possible. You're playing your game, a game that you're able to design for yourself now. You're still consuming, but you're not consuming it in a way where it's becoming destructive. And when you do this, you're at that level where you can now enjoy this. You're not attaching negative connotations to social media. You're instead able to leverage it. Now, if you're a producer, what I recommend as a producer, and I need to follow this rule with YouTube, is try to have 2 different hats. Like with my Twitter account, I have a Twitter account just for creating, and I have a Twitter account just for consuming. With this YouTube channel, I produce videos here, and I subscribe to channels that I enjoy here as well. But eventually, I'm just going to create another channel just for consumption, and I'm just going to keep this channel as production. Now, why do I tell you to do this? Because as a producer and as a consumer, there's two different hats that you have to wear. And when the hats start to become too blurry, you start to get blurry. And anytime you feel a level of anxiety, it's because blurriness is involved and clarity has been taken out. So what I just recommend is, if you're a producer of social media, keep your production account mainly for production and keep your consumption account mainly for consumption. This helps you out tremendously because now you know when to wear each hat. But once again, for this one, make sure you're setting some rough deadlines. Remember, these cats, they want you to stay on the platform for a long period of time. So instead of playing by their rules, just create your own rules. Just say, nah, I'm not gonna be here for an extended period of time. I got a phone. The phone has a timer. So how about I create a timer for myself? And with this timer, it's the same thing with consumption mode. You're at that point where now you're creating the rule set for yourself. And that's my personal version of social media detox. It's nothing too strict. It's nothing taking anything out cold turkey. I don't like that philosophy whatsoever. I like it more where you're using tools, technology in a mindful way. And when you can start doing it in a mindful way, that's when the stuff that was causing you anxiety is now no longer causing you anxiety. Instead, it's just a tool. It just complemented in your life. Just like with a car. I mean, if you're drinking a lot of alcohol and you're driving, clearly you're going to have a negative connotation towards the car because you're not using the technology properly. But if you use the car correctly and you just go from point A to point B, now you don't have any negative connotations towards it just because you're using it in an effective way. So my main tip is what I personally follow. It may be different for you, but my main tip is to just be mindful of the time. The time is something that you're not gonna just keep getting back. And the scrolling builds onto your distraction muscle, and the distraction muscle builds onto your anxiety. Anxiety builds onto anger, and just this chain effect. We're living in the era where we have the most gifted technology of all time, human history. Yet anxiety levels are rising more and more and more. If you're a content creator, mental workouts are a must. Meditation, journaling, doing something creative for your own good is a must. But just to warm up, follow the tips in today's video where you start incrementing. You start assigning times for you to be on the app, and then you exit and re-enter reality, the real world. Not the digital world, but the world where it's cells and atoms, not pixels and digits. If today's episode helps you and you enjoyed it, make sure you drop that like for me right on below and you share this video on your social media of choice. Thank you for joining the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel, and I'll catch you on the next episode.